You are now listening to The Perfect Prana with Kyah Ann. What's poppin'? What's good? You're listening to The Perfect Prana Show. I'm your host, Kyah Ann, a yoga enthusiast and a human. I'm just a girl. If you like yoga, this is the perfect place to be. And if you don't like yoga, this is still the perfect place to be, because I have the yoga news, the yoga heals, the weekly wellness challenge. I have all the good stuff. But before we get into all of that, let's center ourselves. No matter where you're at, if you're in the car, you're at the gym, you're sitting on the couch, raking the leaves. I don't know. But let's find our center. So sit up nice and tall or stand up nice and tall. Getting into good posture, you know what I mean? Allowing energy to flow through our bodies effortlessly. Relax your shoulders. Relax your jaw. Relax your eyebrows. And take a deep breath into your belly and fill it all the way up. And then exhale and let your belly deflate. Inhale through your nose. And then exhale through your nose. And as you inhale, imagining the breath, imagining the energy travel through each part of your body that needs nourishment and intention. I am centered. Now let's get into the show. Yoga news. This week's yoga news. I did not feel like talking about what was coming up on the yoga headlines because you know that it's negative news. You know that people are out here doing crazy things under the name of yoga. And I'm not here to talk about that. But what I am here to talk about today, the day that I am recording, which is Friday, mind you, the show is due honestly this evening. We'll get it done though. But the day that I'm recording, December 8th, is Bohdi Day. And Bohdi Day is basically a day where Buddhists celebrate the Buddha. The Buddha, he was once an Indian prince, and he abandoned his life of luxury for a simpler one, and he sat underneath a Bohdi tree and he meditated until he found the root of suffering, and he found out how to free himself from it. I respect most, if not all, ancient cultures and religions, traditions, because there's truth in it. So that's why I decided to talk about this, because I thought it was interesting. He meditated for 49 days. He experienced nirvana, which is enlightenment. So when he meditated, he came to 4 truths, which is that life is full of suffering, dukkha. The opposite of suffering is sukha, which is easy. But he experienced that life is full of suffering. Inevitably, like, we're gonna suffer. You suffer the day that you are born. You know how hard being born is? Like, that's why babies come out screaming and crying, because, like, it's literally traumatic. It's traumatic for the mother. It's traumatic for the baby. It's like being born is crazy. Like, there's pain in there. There's a cause for this suffering. And it is possible to stop suffering. And there's a way to get rid of suffering. An 8-fold path to liberation, which to me was really similar to the 8 limbs of yoga. And that's why I wanted to talk about this. And it's something for me to review in my life. We're going to get into it today. The 8-fold path to liberation is basically like the ethical principles for Buddhism. It's just a way of life. And I'll list them off real quick. So number 1 is wisdom and having the right understanding of the truths, the 4 noble truths. Number 2 is right emotion, having the true desire to free yourself from attachment, hatefulness, ignorance. Number 3 is the right speech, abstaining from lying, gossiping, hurtful speech, etc. Number 4, right action or right conduct, which is, of course, like no killing, no stealing, no intoxication, etc. Number 5, right livelihood. So making your living in an honest, non-hurtful way. Ethically making money. Number 6, right effort. Taking control of your mind and the contents, good mental habits. Abandoning bad thoughts. Number 7, right mindfulness. Meditation. Accepting your thoughts. And number 8, right concentration, which is the last step. And basically, if you've freed yourself from all the negativity and evilness and etc., then you will be able to deeply concentrate. There's just so many parallels between cultures. It's like crazy that Buddha had 8 steps to enlightenment, and then yoga has 8 limbs as well. So basically, the 8 limbs of yoga was written by sage Patanjali, and I'm not going to go into too much history about that, but I am going to talk about, again, the 8 limbs of yoga, which is, the first one is yamas, non-harming, so not harming anybody, truthfulness, non-stealing, abstinence, non-greediness. The second path, niyama, is observance, cleanliness, contentment, discipline, self-study, self-reflection, study of spiritual text, and surrendering to a higher power. Third path, asana, which is a posture, the physical state of yoga, the movement. Pranayama, on the perfect prana, which is breathing. Prana translates to our energy, our life source. Number 5, pratyahara, which is withdrawal of senses, going within. Number 6, dharana, concentration, having a single focus, which will help us go into deep meditation. Number 7, which is dhyana, which is contemplation or meditation. And number 8 is enlightenment, which is being able to stay present in the moment, being detached. There was like life pre-YTT and then life post-YTT yoga teacher training. And let me tell you, one of my biggest takeaways was to just be detached, was don't cling to anything. That was like the most like groundbreaking revelation for me. Is like, don't cling, things are going to change. Don't cling to the good things and don't dwell on the bad things, because everything's going to change no matter what. Let it pass, be at the center, and that just to be in the moment. Suffering is inevitable no matter what. Bad things are going to happen. I think joy is inevitable too. There's things that are going to make us feel good as well. So I don't know too much about like the differences between Buddhism and Hinduism or this or that, but to me it is interesting that 2 separate entities, 2 separate religions, but have parallels with principles and so many similarities. And they have these 8 steps, and they're kind of, I like how they're written out like steps, like first you do this, second you do this, third you do this, and so on, like master one at a time. This kind of made me think about do I practice yoga every day? Because I did see something on Instagram where, and I see people talk about this a lot, like asana does not equal yoga. And I completely agree with that, and I understand that. But then it made me think, like, do I even practice yoga every single day? I practice some type of movement every day or some type of posture every day. But do I really practice yoga every day? And last week when I was talking about, I'm like, I don't know. I feel a little off. Like I haven't been doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or I'm not really on the path that I'm supposed to be on, or I don't know. If ever I get that feeling, then I do have to kind of review my life and ask myself, have I been being present? Or have I been escaping? Have I been trying to do everything else but be with myself? Have I been staring at my phone like a zombie for hours at a time? And has my stuff been a mess and I'm looking around and it's chaotic and my mind is chaotic? Or have I been neglecting my meditation or because sometimes it is hard to concentrate and it's easy to overindulge in things, and it's something for me to do personally, like really look in and review my life. Like, have I been practicing yoga? Maybe I've been practicing aspects of it on some days, but like I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say I've been fully living like this, or I've been fully enlightened. Like, no. and I don't expect myself to be. I have a lot of life ahead of me and a lot to learn. So that's why I appreciate doing this show, kind of to bring me back. I'm glad that it brought me back here, back to the path, back to the limbs, and to really review, have I been doing these things? And maybe that's why I might feel weird, or maybe that's why I'm suffering a little bit, or I'm just feeling antsy and angsty, or maybe that's why I feel like this. You know what I'm saying? Because cause and effect, everything that is happening, there is a cause. Taking a deep review of myself. That's the yoga news. I am going to take a deep look into myself, and I'm excited to get through finals and really have the time to self-reflect and get on my path and reignite myself and free myself from whatever's causing my suffering, whatever, because I might do things that they might feel good in the moment, but generally they don't feel good. And we all deal with that. It's not just me. On to Yoga Hills. I promised you a guest this week, and I am delivering on my promises. And this week's guest, Cian Evans Grayson. She's been practicing yoga for 8 years and graduated from DePaul with a BFA in acting. Her mission is to help build community and encourage people to explore creativity through movement. Let's get into the interview. Thank you, Cian, for coming on the Perfect Prana show. This is my radio show where all I do is talk about yoga. I will start off by asking you what I ask everybody that comes onto the show is, when did you start practicing yoga? Why did you start practicing? And why do you still practice today?
Okay, when did I start practicing? It's always a funny question because after I started practicing yoga, I guess officially, I realized I was kind of always practicing yoga anytime I was present with myself and my body. But I moved to Chicago about 8 years ago, and then I needed somewhere to go that wasn't work or school. So then I started just going to different yoga studios in Chicago, finding a work study program. And then after about a year or so, I came to Yoga View and then did work study there. They did their teacher program and continued working there. But all throughout my life, I always did movement and singing and dance and all that stuff. And I had a lot of teachers who would do we would do the Jane Fonda video when we were in middle school to get our energy out. And I remember that being really I don't know, I really, really, really enjoyed that. And I found the value of movement through that. And I feel like during COVID, there was a lot of self practice. And so I learned a lot and was able to kind of navigate through that time using yoga.
Why do you still practice today?
Um, because it's extremely giving. I feel like it is just the more I practice, the more I gain in self knowledge and joy and connection to other people and connection to myself. And it's something that I know will be with me throughout all stages of life, whether things happen where I'm grieving or I'm injured, or when like amazing things are happening and I'm on vacation and like I'm feeling really good about life. I can always count on yoga to kind of like bring me back to the middle.
You said doing something that brings you joy, and movement definitely brings me joy. I will say that, and it probably brings everybody joy. They just don't know it
Yeah,
if they don't move.
exactly.
Like
Exactly. Even just like wrist circles or like moving your head is like so good.
it does the trick every
It
single
does the trick.
time. I did not know that you moved here. Like 8 years ago?
Yeah,
You,
or maybe like 7 years ago. Or maybe I'm over. I moved here. I went to school and then I took a gap year here and then went to school here too.
where are you from?
I'm from Wisconsin.
Wait, so why'd you move to Chicago?
For DePaul, or just because I needed somewhere different, but I just took a gap year in Chicago and then ended up applying to DePaul.
Do you see yourself being in Chicago for like ever for the rest of
No,
your life?
honestly, I really want to move to New York next year. I would I would like to just go there, and it's I feel like it's like Chicago but like on another level, and I would really like to go explore there. And I also graduated from the theater school with an acting degree, so I do that when I'm given the chance, and I would love to just see what's going on there right now. Where I feel like always with life I have now in my adult life, I always have like these different um this different like specific things that I'm working on, especially in like my yoga practice. Attachment and like instant gratification is a huge one right now with the world, and with us Americans and our like attachment to like we're trying to get back to the basics. I feel like detaching from trying to simulate joy, I guess, with like these little distractions.
Yeah. Wait. Okay. So that's interesting. So that's something that I feel like what I learned in my teacher training, like one of my biggest takeaways was kind of being at the center of it all and letting
Hmm.
everything pass you by, being detached from everything. Like
Hmm.
just being like, I'm going to be okay no matter what, basically.
Hmm.
I'm here, I'm present in my body, and
Hmm.
I'm breathing, and that's like the most
Yeah,
important thing
that
ever.
is the thing.
So, but that's interesting. That's
But then we're
something
like,
that
ooh, there, ooh, over there, ooh, over there. And then I have to need yoga to like come back and remember what's important. Hmm.
so, but that's interesting though. You said that that's something that you've been working on in your practice as
Hmm.
of right now. I guess
Hmm.
what is something that you're trying to stay detached from? What's something that you're like, oh, I want to cling to this so bad, or
Well, I think that what I've been recently, a little thing like game I've been doing with myself is just every time I have the thought or impulse to buy something or eat for no reason or do things just because I'm a little bored for a second or even go on my phone, I just like snap just to like have that like because the thoughts go so fast. I feel like in the morning we're just like, oh, let's go get our coffee, let's go here, then we go this, then we do this, and this is just like what we do. And I also feel like living in a big city, there's so many opportunities to just stop at Whole Foods and get a little treat and then go out to eat here. And I feel like I do a lot of things very mindlessly that I don't that aren't helpful to me. And at the end of the day, sometimes I feel drained or lethargic, not because anything happened, but because I overate or I didn't move or I looked at my phone all day and I use these little joy, they're the mini dopamine things that they talk about.
Escapism.
Yeah, escapism. Yeah. And
You know,
sometimes we don't
that's
think of like getting coffee or getting a little treat as escapism, but it absolutely is.
mm, that's interesting. Sometimes I lean into that though. Sometimes
Oh, me too.
no, because I'm like, I want to escape right now. I'm going to
Yeah,
escape, or I'm going to do something
exactly.
that brings me joy right now because
Yeah.
that's
Hmm.
it will feel great. Like I don't
Hmm.
know. Sometimes I do notice that like so I don't have TV at home. I just use my phone. And if I'm watching like something on my phone and I'm like cooking in the kitchen or just like
Hmm.
eating or doing whatever in the kitchen, and then my phone dies, I
Hmm.
literally cringe so hard because I
Yeah.
have to sit in silence.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
like,
like, well,
oh my God. Like,
what happens now?
I know, like just trying to like let me breathe through
Yeah.
this. Like this is so awkward. How can
Yeah.
it be?
Silence feels very awkward. And I've been noticing that in my teaching where I'm like, there was one day I remember the stereo wasn't working and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to play my playlist, like whatever. And then after the class, somebody came up to me, they were like, thank you so much for not using music because my nervous system needed that. And I was like, yeah, silence is actually magic can happen in silence, but we do not have enough of it at all.
I've had to teach a class or two without music before, and I'm like, whatever, we're gonna do it in silence. And there are people that will get up and like leave the class. Like they just cannot
Hmm.
handle not having music. And
Hmm.
I don't, that's just really interesting to me. And on one hand, I'm like, oh my God, like grow up, like
Yeah.
get over yourself. Like it's not that big of a deal. But then on the
Hmm.
other hand, again, understanding, I know that silence is uncomfortable or feeling
Yeah.
like there's just nothing there to really fill the noise. Even when I'm teaching and I'm like, honestly, I don't really have a cue to give for this movement or this posture. Like I gave all the cues I could give. And it's like for a short time, and I might just be quiet. And I'm like, I'm not saying enough. Like, yikes, like, but sometimes there's nothing to say.
Yeah, a lot of times I feel like sometimes we say too much. Yeah.
So you do teach. Where do you teach at?
I teach at Coconut Yoga in Lakeview, and then I sub at this amazing place called the Collective Yoga Co-op, which is a great place I would recommend to students or anyone who needs to find like cheaper yoga because they have sliding scale classes ranging from $5 to $25, depending on what you could pay and that time. And they're a really cool studio. And it's a co-op, so every teacher owns a studio and they act like it. And then subbing at Yoga View, and right now that is it.
And then
Yeah.
also, like, how do you come up with your sequences or like with your, I guess, routine for the class? Like,
Yeah. I usually look at, well, the studio and the way people are used to learning at that studio and going to classes, of course. And then just thinking about like the time of day and the people and now that I have a regular class and I know the people that usually come and like what their jobs are and what they're doing all day. And so I like take that into account. And I usually like I organize everything to a T and then just like in theater, kind of just like throw it away and then get into the space and just open myself up to the energy that is actually in the room and kind of go from there with what knowing what I know and what I'm feeling in the space and then come up with what I feel like we both need that day.
okay. Do you ever like have like an intention before a class, like this is what we're gonna
Honestly,
open our
I
heart more, you know?
recently I've been kind of because I feel like now with social media and everything we all at least I have like my like go-to like podcast and like people or astrologers that I like listen to every week who like tell me what's up, what's going on. And so I take into account the kind of energy for the week and how the world is kind of feeling and try to infuse as much as that much as that into my own practice, which I know will just like kind of comes out in my teaching. But the truth is when you like see the people and you're like, what do you, it's like if I have something planned, but then only one person or two people come to class, I'm not just gonna mindlessly do what I planned. I feel like,
Yeah,
you
definitely. Yeah, you gotta learn to cater to other people.
know.
But I'm always just learning from every teacher that comes on the show and just
Yeah, yeah.
picking their brain, like, so what do you do exactly?
Yeah, yeah.
So
But also I feel like it depends on personality too. And I feel like the more I learn more about my own personality, the more I figure out how I am as a leader. And I feel like in general, I'm a very kind of a circular person. I'm a very like watery, flowy person in general. And I feel like the thing that I need to work on is having more like structure and more, I guess, more squareness in my life. But so I appreciate the teachers who are like super like intentional about every single thing they do, and it's like very. And then there's like I love the teachers who are also very watery and kind of all over the
yeah.
place, but you get there.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah,
I'm very
yeah.
watery and all over the place as well.
Mhm,
And that's something I'm
mhm.
working on. I've admitted
Yeah.
on this show. It's just my lack of structure with everything. Even like
Mhm.
getting out the bed this morning and getting here, I need to like record and edit my whole show by the end of the day today. And normally I do it. Yes, 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 yes. Normally I do it like earlier in the week and I that's what I've been on. But look, it's the end of the semester.
Yeah,
Kyah is
whatever,
tired.
no.
It took me forever to get out the door this morning. I'm like I woke
Mm.
up at 9:30. Yeah, I didn't get here till like 15 minutes before we got on the phone.
Oh
So
my God. Well, I mean, you look beautiful. You're glowing. So you
thank
don't
you.
even.
I needed the rest.
Yeah.
Like this is the 13th episode.
Oh,
Does that
wow.
have any significance to you?
13. Hmm. It's like the thing is, I'm like, no, but I can make it. How like I can find purpose in everything.
I know, seriously. It really is what you make
Yeah.
it. I'm like, oh, well, that's my lucky number now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm seeing 222. Like, I just saw it right there. Like, okay. So, yeah, maybe you should look that up and think about that. Like, what is
Yeah. What is
13?
13? I always think of the age of 13, which I feel like is when I don't know, like just the worst year of life, age 13. Maybe not like the worst, but it's just like there's a lot of I feel like a gremlin when I was 13. Like I was transforming into whatever I was gonna start to be.
I could agree with that, but
Yeah.
that whole time period for me personally, from like 13 to 18, I'm not
Hmm.
going to say 13, from like 12 to
Yeah.
18.
Yeah.
That was the dark ages.
Yeah. The dark ages. Yeah. And you know, when I parents say the same thing, and like whoever is when people are like, yeah, my daughter's 13, people are like, oh, like, like I'm sorry. It gets better. My mom has been telling her friends who have teenagers, she's like, it gets better, you guys. They come back. They leave and then they come back.
A really interesting, embarrassing,
Mhm.
horrible
Humbling.
time period. Yeah, that's where all the character was built right there.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't I don't even know what to say about that. Man, I was wildin'. I was so crazy. Yoga couldn't have come into my life at any better time, honestly. I feel
Yeah.
like it really helped, even because right before my training, like that year, I was struggling really, really bad. Once I did the YTT, there was like life before YTT and then life after. And I just
Yeah.
know I handle so many things just so much differently. And
Mhm.
it's just, again, just the thought of like, look, it'll change.
Mhm.
It's okay.
Even if you keep doing the same thing, something's gonna change and transform.
Yeah, that is so true. So,
And you know, after my YTT, I like pretty much stopped drinking at all, like, which is because I was like, I don't know, that was just one habit that kind of after YTT kind of just like diminished.
You're like, I don't need to do
Like,
this anymore.
yeah. And it was just from like doing yoga regularly so much to the point where like, I don't know, my body was just like so loose. It didn't want, or just there are some things that don't go with yoga. It's like I
Yeah.
can do this and then have a good practice and or a focused practice in the morning. And even with like overeating, I'm like when I stop eating, when I'm full, yoga is more enjoyable. Life is more enjoyable.
Overindulgence is really the plague. We all have
It's
it.
a plague.
We all have it.
But
I'm not
if
ready for
anyone's
that.
trying to get rid of a toxic relationship, start practicing yoga every single day, twice a day, and you know what? It might just melt away from your life.
I don't even think it's just like the practice of yoga itself. I mean, like, yes, it is, but I think going through the process of YTT, going on a retreat, like, or going to something like that constantly for a month, making friends with the people in your group, practicing with them every day, having that sense of community, that sense of purpose, something to do, even though we were like doing nothing, like going and sitting there in silence for 30 minutes, still having something to do. Like, I
Someone
think
holding you
that,
accountable.
yeah, that's what really made it different, because it's like I could like put on a YouTube video or like go to a yoga class, and it just is not the same until you join a community for real, for real. So and honestly, that's my solution for everybody. I'm like, yeah, you should just do a teacher training or like a yoga retreat or something.
Or even just like really dive into a yoga studio, like go there every single day, talk to the people and see what people are up to. What are people doing?
That's the only way. I don't see any other way.
I don't see any other way. And also I feel like it's there are very few places I'm realizing where we have like the intergenerational mix in things, and that is a lot of that is in yoga studios, and I really appreciate that. And I have appreciated getting to meet a lot of like older yoga teachers or people who have been doing the practice for a long time and how it's helped them as they've aged.
Okay, we're going to do something kind of fun.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, unpopular opinion about yoga.
Unpopular opinion that I have.
Yes.
I mean, this is hard because I do love music. I love both, but I would say music isn't absolutely necessary. I mean, actually, nothing is really necessary. You really don't need anything to practice yoga. I feel like even I'm, working on this with myself, but like less is more, less is more, less is more. I feel like so many places keep like adding things, and we're adding more things that don't really need to be added, and just have to always just like get back to the basics. And I feel like there's just a lot of distractions. Yeah, I would just say you don't need a lot to practice yoga. You only need you.
Yeah, that is why I love yoga. And it is something where I have kind of gotten away from like working out a lot, or this is bad. Like I want to go to more yoga classes at Yoga View, since it's like I do this work trade. I literally am working to take classes here.
Yeah.
But the reason I don't is because, I mean, life is a little bit busier now that it's not summertime for me. And then also it's like I have a yoga mat in my living space and a nice wall and I have my body and I just walk onto my mat all comfortably alone and just do what I'm doing. Nobody there, no judgment.
Whatever clothes you woke up in.
No commute, nothing extra added. And
in the winter, I think that is the best practice, actually, a lot of the times. I mean, it's nice to get out, to see people, but in the winter, sometimes those cozy home practices are what the doctor ordered.
Because I've been shaming myself lately, and I've had somebody else kind of shaming me, like, you're wasting your time going to Yoga View and you're not even taking classes there and it's so far. And I'm like, I know, but I want to stay in the Yoga View realm but also I literally don't have the mental capacity to be like going out there more than once a week to take a class. Like
But
when
do you do the online classes? Sign up?
I I don't. I have
You
never done
should.
an online class before.
You should. You should do the online classes.
Give it a try. I might
Yeah.
do that maybe like tomorrow or Sunday or something.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be
And even if you
good.
don't, you should just like, even if you don't, you should just sign up for a bunch and they'll send you the recordings so you can do them when you're ready.
Hmm.
Hmm.
You're right, because I do love and appreciate taking a class and again
Hmm.
learning from other teachers because
Hmm.
I can only push myself so far. I only have so much in my brain space and I can only learn so much off Instagram. So, like,
Hmm.
really taking a class, getting in the
Yeah.
trenches, getting in the work with the actual teacher, it's just
Yeah, yeah.
different. That's been the struggle, but that's my
Hmm.
goal for December. Is I wrote down 3 goals for December in there. This is
Okay.
also something I was going to ask you. I'm loving that it's
Okay.
all coming up now. Yes,
Yes.
I wrote down 3 goals for December, which was a 3-day fast,
Hmm.
3 yoga classes before I leave Chicago in December, and then to finish my book that I started. Since it is like the last month of 2023, so it's like kind of like, do whatever you can now, kind of like, what do you be intentional about this month? Like, what are we going to finish
Hmm.
this month? Like, what's something I've been meaning to do or wanting to do, or like, I'm really going to try to push myself to do those like little small things this month. So that's what I
Hmm.
wanted to ask you. Or what do you have 3 goals since we're in the last month of December? It's still the
Yes.
beginning, so it's
It's
not too
still the
late to
beginning,
make.
but it's gonna go by fast.
It is.
So I have been like in like single for like 2 years now, and I'm finding myself getting like a little irritated, and I'm seeing this as like I'm really working on not seeing this as like a like pause in my life before I have a partnership or something, and seeing it as this is life, this is happening, this is part of my journey. And so I've been really practicing taking like really good intentional care of myself. And so the 3 things that I kind of am like, okay, these are the 3 things I need to do every day. I mean, I have my like regular morning routine, and then reading has been a big one, trying to read more and reading at least 10 minutes a day. I do already do this, but continuing to write 3 pages a day. And then the third thing, I did write it down. Where is it? Oh yeah. And then, sitting practice, because moving is great. I love moving. I can do that every day, all the time, all day, every day. But sitting still for 20 to 30 minutes is like the hardest thing to do in the entire world. So that's what I've been working on. And I'm blessed enough to kind of have the time to really explore what self-care is looking like for me, especially in the winter where it feels like you gotta up your self-care game, and doing things that make me feel warm. So those are my 3 goals.
The sitting practice is hard. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, after my teacher training, I'm maybe for like a week or so after I was kind of keeping up with it, I was doing like 15 minutes, but then 15 turned to nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And then now every once in a while I'll get back into it and I'll be like at least 5 minutes. And then when
Mm-hmm.
you said 20, 30 minutes, I was thinking, I don't even have 20, 30 minutes to
I
sit down.
know, but
But
you do.
then I'm like, that's a lie though.
It's a lie.
Let me tell you why that's a lie. Because I spend so much time looking
Yeah,
at this
I
for
know.
hours, just
I
sitting
know.
there, stuck, scrolling. Like I cannot get
But
off.
one thing that has been really helpful for me in this book that I was reading, just talked about it yesterday, and I was like, okay, thank you for reminding me of this, because we know this, but sometimes you need the reminder that we are very addicted to our phones, but because there are thousands of people on the other side of those phones making sure that we are addicted. So it's like it's a battle, but also you have to remember that like it's not solely on us, but it is. But it's not, because it's our brains, but there are people who are like literally trying to make sure that we are addicted, and they are succeeding. We have power, we have free will, we can pry ourselves away, if not just for an hour a day.
Very, very
And I'm
correct,
speaking to
though.
myself.
You're speaking to me.
Yeah. They're geniuses. Like they're
I'm just a human. But I guess it's really kind of going within myself to like rise above my humanness.
yeah.
Be
'Cause
like,
we are smarter. We are smarter than the phone.
yeah, like rise above my animal instinct or
Yeah.
whatever. Just, like,
Yeah.
look, this is like kind of getting into my higher self. Living in this world, no matter what you're doing or like what movement or plan or hobby, like you have to have a wellness regimen. You have
Mm-hmm.
to have, you can't exist in this world, at least
Mm-hmm.
in America, in this
Mm-hmm.
culture, without having some type of plan or regimen or standards
Yeah.
for yourself, because there's a lot that's thrown at us, and like it's not, there's health is not embedded into the culture. So if you're like,
And like the whole point of everything is so that we don't have to think and we don't have to try, or do we just order our food? We don't have to get up. We don't have to do any critical thinking to get the things that we need. And so that we don't try. We don't try to thrive. We just survive because everything's already there for us. So yeah, wellness routine.
yeah,
Yeah.
because in other cultures they might have foods that are like generally healthier and dances and
Might.
movements. They do. They have
Yeah.
dancements and movements and prayers already embedded into their
Yeah.
culture that they don't have to think about their wellness. It's just a
Mhm.
given that they're healthy and well. Like what? Like,
We are constantly fighting with
yeah.
trying to pass a Starbucks or McDonald's without like it's like the complete opposite.
Yeah, so I'm like,
Mhm.
I do give empathy to everybody for that, because I know like you literally have to fight for your health in this
You have
world.
to fight for your health.
You
Like,
you do.
you have to be a warrior, like a health warrior.
I'll do whatever I want, or I just won't care
Mhm.
anymore. And I've gone through that phase in my life and where I did nothing and I just ate that huge bag of hot Cheetos
Mhm.
and I just went smoked a bunch of weed. I did this and that,
Mhm.
none of it. Like went crazy with it.
Yeah,
And it's not helpful and
it's not
conducive to
helpful. It's
anything.
not helpful to us. It's not helpful to anyone who is around us in our radius, anyone who we love. But it's, yeah, you really have to fight for it. And I feel maybe I always wonder, I'm like, why are there so many like yoga teachers and wellness teachers in the world right now? It feels like, but it's so easy to forget. So you need people who are like really, really, really living it to like constantly be reminding. And I'm so happy I have people who are constantly reminding me so that I can remind other people and they can remind their people. I have a friend who says that all of the like herbology like books and stuff she sees in thrift stores, she always grabs them because she's like, I feel like they're gonna be non-existent soon, and they're not. All the like books or things that teach you how to heal yourself feel like really valuable right now. Like things we need to be like collecting information to share and help each other. And as someone who is about to be off insurance in a month, I'm like, yeah, I'm about to do everything I can to not be in the doctor. It's like there's a lot of things that we can do for self healing, which obviously no one shares with us at birth. We kind of have to learn ourselves. The goal is to like kind of be weaned off the government or help from the outside as much as possible as far as like health and wellness, because there's so many even little things that we could do to keep us out of the doctor that nobody knows. And I'm like, people will tell me things. I'm like, how do people not know this?
What are the top 3 things that you're going to do to keep yourself out of doctors
Or dentists.
or dentists? Yeah.
I would say, well, I mean, everyone already knows flossing and then oil pulling, like the swishing coconut oil in your mouth to help with cavities and all that stuff. Drinking water. And it's so hard because now it's like there's all these things that like this water is not good, this water is not good, you just drink this water. I'm like, come on. And I would say like way more water, always way more water than I think I need, especially in the winter when everything, like it's like everything is so when something feels on the outside trying to go inside, like when my lips are really dry or my hands are really dry, of course I'm going to use lotion or like something on my lips, but also thinking about, okay, well, I haven't had water or fruit in 3 days, so that might also be why my lips are dry and my hands are dry. So I've been working on that within myself and trying to get better at noticing symptoms on the outside and how can I heal them from the inside out, which takes a lot of patience and being quiet with yourself and really, really listening, because your body is constantly telling you what it wants, but we are constantly ignoring it. Like we're like, oh, I'm bloated. I wonder why. It's like, it's probably because you have French fries. It's not rocket science. Like and I just have to be honest with myself and know that that's what I did. And I think that is loving yourself, is really listening to yourself and being honest with yourself, because sometimes when we're honest, we don't like it, but it doesn't mean that it's not love.
Why do I feel like this? What could it be? And then you're like,
Yeah. I'm like, why do I feel like brain dead and not creative and sad? I'm like, probably because I was on my phone for 4 hours. That's probably why I need to go outside and like walk.
Yeah, go touch grass.
Yeah. And then instantly I'm like, wow, it's like magic.
So
It's
serious.
just like being honest with yourself is a little bit embarrassing, even though it's just with yourself. Like I'm realizing, I'm like, how can I expect myself to be myself in front of other people if I have a hard time even being honest with myself about my daily life choices? Really looking at yourself and be like, this is what I'm choosing to do. And just knowing that if this is what you choose to do, this is the consequence, which I usually know because I've made these choices before. But just paying attention to what happens after.
I like that you said that. I was just talking to a friend about this, and it is embarrassing to be honest with yourself, or like you might just like really again judge yourself or get down on yourself. Be like, oh my gosh, I'm this horrible. I did all this horrible thing or whatever. But it is kind of like getting more neutral about who you are, or like what you did, or like just get more neutral and like just more empathy.
Yeah.
Give yourself empathy and then give that to others and just be like, I'm just a person that I messed up here, or I just that I'm not all the horrible things that I did. I did the best that I could, the best way that I knew how. And
Yeah.
that was poopy. I have
I
to say
know.
poopy for the radio. So, oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Cian. That was
Thank you.
beautiful. Like, yeah. So the last thing that I wanted to ask you, since again, it's the last month of 2023 and next year is 2024. And I say 2023 brought so much progress. 2024 will bring more. That's my like campaign.
Yes.
So
I love it.
I know like everybody's like, New Year's resolutions are stupid, but
I know, right?
what's your New Year's resolution?
Okay, my New Year's resolution would be to, in general, throughout 2024, working on sharing myself and my ideas more, not judging my creative impulses. We're entering uncharted territory in the world for like, okay, we don't want to continue on the way we have, but that means we have to continue on a way that we've never seen before. And I feel like that's going to take a lot of creativity and a lot of sharing your authentic, all of us, our authentic lights and our authentic ideas. And I think especially for people who like historically or don't share because they are going to think they're wrong, or it's just not something that comes naturally to share, that it's going to take like the quiet people, which is definitely one of me. I am one of them. So sharing myself more, that's my New Year's resolution.
Okay, well, I can't wait. I mean, thank you for sharing yourself with the Perfect Prana show.
Yes,
with me.
you.
Honestly, because it's selfless. If you have something to give, you have something to say. Don't just hold it in. Like, share. Like, that might be life-changing for somebody. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
might be life changing for you. So,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. And then the last thing I wanted to ask you before I hang up, where can we find you at on the internet?
My Instagram is just my first and last name, Cian Evans Grayson, all in one chunk. I teach at Coconut Yoga. So the Coconut Yoga website. Yeah.
And with that being said, before we close out, as a yoga teacher, can you lead us through some pranayama? Just like a quick breath, 1 to 2, your choice.
Okay. My favorite way to end class, which I learned this from my movement teacher at DePaul, Christina Flutie. This is how she would end some of her classes. And so we'll take 3 breaths together. The first breath will be for ourselves. The second breath will be dedicated to everyone we shared space with this afternoon. And then the third breath will be sent out to everyone into the world, seen and unseen. So we'll first exhale all our air out, and then take a big inhale. And first, just a cleansing breath, exhale through the mouth. And then we'll take the first breath for ourselves. Inhale. Pause at the top. And exhale. And second breath for everyone we shared space with this afternoon. Inhale. And exhale. And third breath for everyone in the world, seen and unseen. Inhale. And exhale.
Namaste. That was so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Weekly Wellness Challenge. So last week's challenge was to write down 3 goals for December and look at them every morning you wake up, or whenever you wake up. Just look at them every time you wake up. First thing you do, wherever you wrote it down, your piece of paper, grab that piece of paper and look at it upon waking up. Did I succeed in doing the challenge? Do I ever at this point? The challenges are so challenging, but it did make me reflect on a few things about, man, it is so easy. Like when you wake up in the morning, you're like straight up on autopilot. The first couple days, I'd get up and immediately grab my phone and like start, and I'd be like, oh my gosh. And then I look at my goals, but as it went on, I got better at it. Instead of first going to grab my phone, going to grab my journal and reading my goals, instead of like immediately getting lost in the sauce of the algorithm, because it's so easy to do that. And the next step is just to achieving the goals. But my goal is just to keep these goals at the forefront of my mind. Make sure that I'm thinking about them when I start my day, just so that my actions, hold myself accountable for my actions throughout the day. Like, was that conducive with these goals that I've set for myself? Or, how am I going to start achieving these goals? Achieving goals is important. It's a confidence booster. This week's weekly challenge. In honor of this episode and the interview that I just had with Cian, I'm going back. Honestly, I'm going back to where we started. The show, this season is about to end soon, and there will be a second season of the Perfect Prana show when I come back to school in January. So this is probably my second to last episode. So we're kind of going back to our roots. We're recycling a challenge, which is meditation. And I remember one episode, it could have been the first or the second. I can't remember which episode. We're on the 13th at this point. But I know one of those episodes in the beginning, I challenged you all and I challenged myself to meditate every day for 5 minutes just to sit up nice and straight, focus on your breathing, letting all the thoughts pass. And I did that every day for 5 minutes. And now I'm gonna up it. I'm gonna do that every day for 10 minutes. I'm going to meditate every day this week, Saturday to Saturday, 10 minutes. No questions about it. I have 10 minutes. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't have 20, 30 minutes to, but I do have time. And I think about how much time I give to Apple. It's sick. How much time I give to distractions. But I want to start taking that time back, and I want to start giving it to myself. I'm the main character. I'm focusing on me. Period. And that's the weekly challenge. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Perfect Prana Show. You're listening to WCRX 88.1 FM, where the Perfect Prana Show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. Or you may also be listening on Apple or Spotify. So, there's options, people. Instagram, I post videos of me moving. And I might share what I'm eating, and I might share a little yoga post here and there, and I keep everybody updated. So get with me on Instagram at consistently Kyah, consistently spelled with a K, Kyah spelled Kyah. You all have a beautiful, blessed day. It's just vibes. Before I go, I'm going to close out with a quote in honor of Bohdi Day. I will use Buddha's most famous quote, and something that changed my life and changed how I operated and really switched some things up for me was the root of suffering is attachment. Because no matter what happens is that we have to be okay. You don't have that many options in life. Something happens, and that's just being attached to the good things and the bad things, and just being like, if the good thing is taken away, then that's the end of our life, and then if something bad happens, then that's the end of our life. But no, that's not the case. Things just happen, and that's just life, and keep living. It's precious. It's a gift to live. With that being said, may the light and darkness within me bow to the light and darkness within you. Namaste.